open. Third time's the charm. Welcome back to Trek Retrek here on Geek the F Out. I'm Captain Johnny.
I'm Ensign Kayla.
And we are here to talk about Season 2, Episode 3 of Star Trek, the original series, The Changeling.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
If you haven't watched this before, I've seen all of Star Trek. Kayla has only watched up to this point. This is her first viewing of this episode, so we're going through talking about all of them. So let's talk about it.
Indeed. Let's do it. Let's get into it. And if you're watching us live, welcome to the chat. Smack that like, smack that subscribe, smack that bell icon. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Happy New Year. Okay, go ahead. Summary. Go.
TVGuide.com says Kirk encounters a sophisticated killer, the Nomad Probe, a talking metal cylinder programmed to destroy life forms that don't meet its mechanical standards of perfection.
And it be probing. That is for sure. Not in the way we would like, but, you know, it'd be probing.
It'd be probing, and the bridges are rocking.
Yes. the fucking, whenever anything shakes in the ship, say that 10 times fast. It's just the acting behind it of just kind of stumbling around is so funny. It's so funny to watch.
Back and to the left, forward and to the right, back and
to
the left.
It's like organized chaos. So I think that's what, because like if that actually happened, like it would be all over the place, obviously. Whereas like it's the cha-cha slide. Like I'm forgetting how the cha-cha slide goes. Damn it.
I don't remember.
Cha-cha, real smooth. Did. That's the only part that's coming in my head. It's like to the left, to the right. Take it back now, y'all. One hop this time.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty much them. Anyways, shall we get into it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, speaking of the bridge, we start off there, and the Malurian? Is that how you... I know how to spell it. I'm trying to remember how to pronounce it, even though I literally just watched it. Malurian? It's spelled Malur. So Malurian?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay. The Malurian planet is showing no life, or like the system. Because it was a few planets were showing no life.
I thought it was just
because, yeah, they said... No, it's MA.
Oh. Well, I definitely heard Lorian, so it has to be Malorian.
Okay. Malorian. So basically there's like 4 planets that are showing no signs of life, and it happened all of a sudden. There's like, they can't find any reason why. And then all of a sudden something's coming at them at multi-warp speed, and they condition red, and it hits them. And Spock says it was 90 times more powerful than one of their torpedoes. And that if they get hit technically 4 times and their shields are down. It was very confusing how he phrased it, because he's like, any more than 3 times, then our shields will be down. So I'm like, okay, so on the 4th time, they'll be completely down. I don't know. I just thought the phrasing was funny.
Yeah. Also, 90 times is like that. Like way too much. They went too far. Because 90 photon torpedoes, I think, would have exploded the ship. Like, the shields would be down.
Yeah. That's a good point. Kirk has Uhura contact Starfleet to let them know what's happening, and he realizes they can't outrun them either, so he fires torpedoes back, but when they are fired, they get absorbed. And they're like, what the fuck? It's being absorbed?
Yeah, and he's like, so that's the thing. It's like 1 photon torpedo, and they're like, how could anything absorb that much energy? Your shields just absorbed the blast of 90, apparently. So
yeah. It makes sense. It does not make sense.
And then they said the ball was traveling at equivalent of warp 15, which they haven't. And part of it again is that they're still establishing stuff. Like you don't like warp 10 becomes the. I don't think it's
highest.
Yeah, warp 10 becomes the highest. If you're nothing can go warp 10. Like
Yeah.
what's the word I want to use? Nothing can go warp 10 traditionally. There are ways to get past that threshold with other stuff, but normal like conventional means you can't get past warp 10.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
But they haven't established that as the predominant warp scale yet, so they throw out random numbers to make it sound good.
We're like, let's just say numbers.
Like 90 photon torpedoes.
Yeah, exactly. And then they take their final hit, and Kirk tries to hail them and gets nothing. And Spock says the craft is 500 kilograms, but only 1 meter long. And they're like, the fuck? How does that work? And they finally get a message from the spacecraft, and it sounds just like fast forwarded words, essentially. And they're like, oh, it's like binary and it's really sophisticated. And they finally realizing it's asking them to repeat what Kirk said, and Kirk's like, we're not trying to hurt you, like blah, blah, blah. And then they send a mathematical message. I'm like, make up your mind with how you're going to communicate. You can't communicate in like many different ways. And Spock's station gets burned out. And then we finally hear a voice coming through, though, and it says they're the Nomad, and they're not hostile, but they ask if they can come on their ship, and Kirk's like, we can't come on your ship. Your ship is too tiny, but you can come onto ours. And yeah, so they go to the transporter room, and the entire ship gets transported onto there. And it's like a weird small rocket looking thing, but thick. Like if you take a rocket and you just squished and made it wider, essentially. With a bunch of lights and sounds, and it always just stays vertical. And they realize like there's no beans in it, and it's like, yeah, I don't have parasites. I'm like, ooh, that's harsh to call any organic life forms parasites. Yeah, and so it's basically a computer, and they kind of question it a little bit, and Kirk says it's Nomad. Kirk mentions how there was a probe named Nomad that was launched in the early 2000s, but Spock says it was destroyed. Little did they know. Oh yeah, so let's see. Oh, no, the Nomad follows Kirk to see the star charts, and he scans them, and while he's doing that, he calls Kirk the creator. And then he comments how Bones is functioning irrationally, and Kirk's like, yeah, he does that sometimes. And I was like, yeah. Ooh, burn. And the Nomad tells them that they're supposed to destroy the biological infestation, pretty much whatever is not perfect, like that's its function. And they're like, oh shit, that's not good. And it admits that it actually destroyed the Malurians, and they're like, oh fuck, yeah, this is not gonna end well. And then all of a sudden Spock plays along with the Nomad and agrees that Kirk is the creator, which, you know, we find out that their names are similar, and it, after got in the accident, it, you know, got a little confused, obviously. And then Mr. Singh, which I was like, is this any relation to?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I figured it was just someone else. He's looking after Nomad, and Kirk, Spock, and Bones leave, and Spock says that it is actually the same Nomad from Earth, just like don't know what's going on with it. And while Mr. Singh is watching Nomad, Uhura radios him, and while he's trying to do something, Nomad just leaves. I was like, you're not doing your job very well. Like, I know you have to do this other thing, but like, you're supposed to be watching it. Come on. And then we get
like, and it's loose because it just bucked off.
Yeah, it was like, bye. And we get Uhura singing, which is very exciting. And yeah, that's cool. And Kirk, Spock, and Bones. Don't laugh at me. Kirk, Spock, and Bones determine that Nomad confused Kirk with the creator because their names are so similar after the accident. And they're not sure how the programming's changed. Like, it was originally supposed to seek out new life forms, and instead it's, destroying them. And but then they find out that the Nomad has left, and it goes to the bridge, which it goes right in front of Uhura, who is singing and doesn't understand why she's singing, so it scans her, asking to think about music. But unfortunately, shit does not go well because Scotty tries to help and gets zapped, and he's dead. Question mark, question mark, question mark.
Yeah, so
but obviously
Scotty is apparently he likes to rush in and get himself in trouble, apparently.
Yeah. He really does.
Not the first time that he's done this.
Probably won't be the last.
Probably not.
Yeah, he
also,
rushed.
her singing is banned. Sorry. She's like, it causes problems.
Yeah. As much as I love it, it's sad. Yeah, it's not good. And then we find out that Uhura is now in a trance, so she's taken to sickbay. And Nomad said that she was defective / chaotic. I'm like, wow, okay, asshole. But he says he can repair Scotty. And so they give him tapes on, the human body / biology and everything. And McCoy takes Nomad to sickbay after, and Chapel and Bones are there, so we get to see Chapel again. And they assist. Well, they actually don't really do anything. They're just there while Nomad is bringing him back to life. And he lives! Scotty lives.
It's a miracle.
That was very short-lived, no pun intended, death. It's a Christmas miracle. And Bones really doesn't like Nomad and is like about to start to like fight with it, and Spock's like, don't do it. It's not worth it. And Kirk tells Nomad to repair Uhura, and he says it can't because the storage banks are wiped clean. And Spock is like, well, maybe she can be re-educated. And I was like, bro, that would literally take a lifetime. And also I was like, does she have no memories? Like, period? Like, is there just nothing in her brain? Or like, is it kind of when people have amnesia but still know how to do like basic functions? Like, I'm very curious.
Yeah, I was wondering too. I'm like what about personal memories? Like, is the entirety of who she is gone?
Yeah.
Obviously, we find out, like, no, but like, how did they they don't really bother to reconcile that. Like,
yeah, it's another one of those like plot holes that's like filled in really quickly, unlike most potholes in real life. Yeah, who knows? Because I'm guessing, I don't know. And also, yeah, like, how is someone supposed to be re-educated so quickly? Because then at the end, they're like, oh, she'll be fine in like a week. I'm like, what?
Yep. Yeah, there's a bit about that there's speculation on Memory Alpha that says, she's re-educated within a matter of days, presumably with all her memories intact. Possibly her memories were not truly erased, analogous to how a computer file's index entry is overwritten, but the data itself is still on the hard drive and can be recovered. Exabytes of data would take a while to restore, would not take nearly as long as learning from a zero start point. So, like, maybe it's like her table of contents or her index were erased, but all the stuff, like, someone took the book and tore out the index and the table of contents, and they just had to remake that.
Maybe. Interesting to
Otherwise,
think about, for sure.
I think she would have been a drooling vegetable for the rest of her life.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But it's sci-fi, so.
Yeah,
Wave the
exactly.
hand wave it a little bit.
Suspend disbelief. So then Kirk sends the Nomad to a secure cell with guards, which I was like, that's probably not going to work, but go ahead. And Spock does an analysis of Nomad, but it won't lower its screens for him to do so, so Kirk has to tell it. And then we see this cute moment of Chapel helping her re-educate. And I was like, she's already reading, but then she's speaking Swahili.
Yeah.
So she knows Swahili, but so it's easier. Once again, very confusing how this whole like memory wiping works.
Yeah, I think their intention was it kind of ends up being like amnesia, but also like Uhura's a fucking genius with how quick she got back to reading and even speaking some English.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, and also I was like, wouldn't they have special people to help her and not like the actual doctors and nurses?
Yeah, like I'm not sure.
They probably just didn't want to bring someone else, and like, Chapel was already there. And it was a sweet moment between the two.
Yeah.
I will say. But then Chapel walks away, and I swear to God, Uhura looks at the camera and like breaks the fourth wall when she's trying to pronounce blue. And also kind of pronounces it Bluey, which is like LOL, the show Bluey.
Yeah, Bluey, yeah.
Did you notice that she looked at it at the very end though?
I didn't notice that she looked right at the camera, but I think I was too preoccupied trying to figure out what she was trying to say and then laughing when she said Bluey.
Yeah. Yeah, she's like trying to figure out, and then she like looks as like Bluey. Yeah. And then Spock can't seem to scan everything, so he suggests he does a Vulcan mind probe. Probe. And he just starts to say a bunch of things like, I am Nomad, I am the other, Tanru, error, flaw, imperfection, must sterilize. And it was like very robotic sounding. Like he's pretty much just like naming off things. But then as he's pulling away, he's still talking like that, and Kirk is like, stop. So it's like even when he's not touching it, they're still doing the mind meld, which was interesting.
Yeah, it's also interesting that we go from during Dagger of the Mind, Spock being like, we've never performed it with outsiders, and now he's done it with a human and a fucking machine.
Yeah.
So Spock is blazing trails out here in the deep reaches of outer space.
It's that half human coming out in him for sure. And so he says that Nomad was damaged / its memory was destroyed, and it met the other, and they merged together and became one being, and they kind of merged their goals together, and it became this really bad goal, essentially. And Kirk calls it
took the two parts of the different orders that Nomad was supposed to seek out new life. Tanru was supposed to collect and sterilize soil samples. So it took sterilize new life that is not perfect.
Yeah. Yep, not good. And Kirk calls it a changeling, which, get this episode title. I'm guessing because one assumed the other identity, but like it still doesn't.
It's a fucking stretch.
Yeah, it's very much a stretch.
Like, he talks about the myth of like fairies replacing children and taking their place and being changelings. But that's a stretch. That's a stretch of the use of the word changeling. And then later in Star Trek, changeling comes to mean very different things. And other sci-fi too is like shapeshifters, are changelings. Yeah. Any life form that can morph and take on the appearance of something that it's not is a changeling.
Yeah, I feel like the fairy part definitely has kind of faded away for using that term, at least. And then
except for there was a game in White Wolf's World of Darkness that was Changeling the Dreaming, which was very much based on the Fae aspect of it. But other than that, it's pretty much shapeshift. Changelings are shapeshifters.
Yeah. And then oh god. Nomad breaks through its shield and destroys the guards, and no one saw that coming at all.
Yeah, like, stop shooting it. Like,
Yeah,
just let it go.
Like, wouldn't they be given orders like, don't shoot it because like it'll just kill you by now? But I guess not. And even after this happened, it happens again, and yeah, why haven't they been given orders not to shoot it? Anyways, it goes to the engineering room, and Scotty is being very cautious around it, which smart to do that. And he's like, "Oh, I have to." The Nomad's like, "I have to repair a bunch of things." He's like fixing the matter and antimatter and some other things, and the ship starts going faster than it ever has. And they're like, the ship can't handle this speed." And then Kirk comes in and he orders Nomad around, and he says he's a biological unit and tries to give new programming to him. And Nomad's like, "Okay, I'll reevaluate." And Spock's like, "You shouldn't have told him you're a biological unit, but
done that.
Should have done
and
that."
This is a new engineering set, I believe, too. I don't think we've seen this.
Yeah,
this like engineering set before.
Multi-level layered.
Yeah.
Multi-level hyphenate. And I don't know. I was gonna say there was a couple shots throughout the episode when the Nomad is moving around, and they have kind of this like right behind it shot, and I was like, that's an interesting perspective shot that it's doing.
I think it's supposed to be like intimidating, like, but yeah, they only did it like twice. I was impressed with, and I don't know if, because we're watching the remastered version, obviously, so they may have cleaned up the effects, but getting Nomad to move around, I was impressed with how good it looked. Like, there was no evidence I could see of what it was actually sitting on or how it was moving around. There were obviously some shots that they framed so that we didn't see the method of locomotion, because like the bottom of the frame cuts off, just like Nomad fills the frame. It cuts off the top and bottom of the probe, like it's filling the middle of the frame, so that we don't see whatever machination they were using.
I'm very curious what they use, because who knows if it was just remastered well or something, but it looked great. And I was like, it's probably hanging from a string or something, but also like, wouldn't that make it wobble around? Or maybe that's why it's moving so slowly. I don't know.
Yeah, because it was pretty smooth too.
Yeah. So it makes you think like it's being held from the bottom.
Yeah, I kind of wish that they had an option on Paramount to like view either the remastered or the original episode, or like I think that would be neat, or view them side by side so you could compare. That would be fun.
That would be. And then where am I? Oh, Kirk and Spock are worried that it will try to go to Earth to sterilize, and Nomad kills 2 more guards. Which, once again, why is no one telling each other to not fucking shoot these things? Shoot the Nomad, because it will kill you, but whatever. And then Kirk and Spock catch the Nomad coming out of sickbay. It doesn't listen to Kirk, it just goes right by them. And apparently it knocked out Chapel because it was trying to check Kirk's medical history. And they're like, well, they're definitely fucked now.
Yeah, convenient that it didn't just kill Chapel. Maybe because she didn't try to shoot it like the other guards did.
Yeah,
but it didn't just obliterate her. It just knocked her out, apparently.
Yeah, she got lucky. Back in engineering, Nomad is fucking with all the systems again. And Kirk goes in and tries to reason with it, saying that it created an imperfect unit. And he basically turns Nomad's logic against him by calling him imperfect for mistaking Kirk as its creator. And he's like, you've made 3 errors by doing all these different things. And it starts to break down. And I was like, so basically got him on a technicality and used the logic against him. This sounds familiar. I feel like this has been done before. Like, not exactly in Trek, but like it's definitely been done in a few things, which I don't know. It kind of seems like a lazy writing cop out just a wee bit, but
I mean, he did it in Return of the Archons too with
okay,
Landru.
it did.
Yeah. This is the second time Kirk
That's
has
true.
talked
Okay.
a computer to
I
death.
swear, I was like, I swear this has happened before. Okay, that makes sense now. I'm not crazy.
And not the last.
Oh boy.
That's all I'll say.
Oh boy.
Not the last.
And so they grab onto Nomad and they put him in the transporter room and they energize it away into space just in time for it to blow up. And yeah. And then at the end of the episode, Spock commends Kirk's logic, said he didn't think he had it in him, and Kirk's like, oh, okay. Asshole. And Bones says Uhura is now at college level and she'll be back in a week, which once again, don't know how that works.
Genius.
But okay.
It's been
she is a genius.
Less than a day.
Still. Yeah. That escalated quickly. Just insert that meme there. Maybe I should use that instead. Oh well.
Yeah.
And then Kirk makes this joke about the Nomad being like his son and how he was a doctor because he repaired Scotty, and he's like, my son, the doctor, just hits you right there. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I literally LOL what the fuck in my notes.
Yeah. It's so weird. Like, I get that this is kind of a thing at end of episodes, especially back in the day, to kind of just have like a funny little bit to end on, but like that was just weird.
Yeah,
just a little weird. Yeah. Do you have any other thoughts? That's all my notes.
Like throughout my notes I have like, Kirk, just fucking ask it to like stop. Like at no point, and by the time he thinks of it, it's too late. But like it only listens to you. It listened to every other command he gave it. Like, hey, go let these people do their job. Go here, do this. Tell it, like, your mission's done. You don't have to sterilize new life forms anymore. Maybe.
That's a good point.
And then by the time he does try to give it new programming, well, it's too fucking late now.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it is too fucking late. Interesting. Yeah.
So if that's it for general thoughts, that'll take us to favorite lines and moments.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, I have one. Intelligence does not necessarily require bulk, Mr. Scott, Spock says to him.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny. About the teeny tiny ship, and they're like, how can it be smart when it's a teeny tiny?
I had when it kills Scotty, it says something to the effect of it's the unit is not well organized and there are systems with no redundancies. It's inefficient. I'm like, well, he's not wrong.
Yeah. That was good.
It's not wrong about the human biological system. It's pretty much spot on. He was right.
That is right. And then Bones says when Nomad comes onto the ship, Bones is like, what do we do now? Go up and knock?
Yeah.
So funny.
Because they were still convinced that there was a life form of some sort in there. And maybe that could have been. That would have been fun. All I can see is like a hatch opening. And there's like fucking Babu Frick
Why
Something
was
like
I
that.
thinking the same thing?
Because it'd be awesome. Babu Frick's adorable. I love Babu Frick. People don't like that part of
He's
Star
so
Wars for
cute.
some reason, but
Oh, I
he's
love
great.
him. He's adorable.
The Anzellans in
How
general,
can you
because they
hate
show
him?
back up in The Mandalorian. But
Yeah, and it's funny because in The Mandalorian, like they interpret or they have to yeah, interpret for him. I'm like, you can tell what he's saying.
yeah.
So funny. Um oh, and when Scotty says that mechanical beastie is up here, I'm like, oh, beastie.
Yeah.
I like saying beastie. I just thought it was funny calling it a
Um,
beastie.
when it's talking with Kirk and Spock, and like Kirk's ordering it to, I think it was to do before they do the mind meld. Nomad's like, "Is this another one of your biological units?" And Kirk's like, "Yes."
Mm-hmm.
And Nomad's like, "This unit is different. It is well ordered." The look that
Mm-hmm.
Spock gives to
Mm-hmm.
Kirk, it's like, "Oh, see."
I am well ordered. So good. But then he like insults him later too. I can't remember. Spock. Not like full on, but like kind of. Like only is insult to Spock. Like no one else would really take it that way, I think.
I don't
No.
remember that. I missed that. I think.
Well, it happened, okay?
I believe you. I just don't remember
I'm
it.
kidding. I'm starting to second guess myself now. Let's see. I don't know if I have any more lines.
Yeah, I don't have anything else. It kind of frustrates me because like
oh, sorry, real quick. When
yeah.
Kirk says it's space happy, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, whatever that means.
I don't know if it's a thing that actual astronauts experience or anything, but there's a trope in science fiction about like space madness, like being out in space. Like I don't know if that's something that I haven't looked into it. I should have looked it up beforehand. If that's something that actual astronauts have experienced, or if it's just a made up trope for sci-fi purposes. Tell us
like
in the
they
comments
must.
or in the chat if it actually exists.
Yeah, I feel like they must, like cabin fever, but you're in space, so it's even worse.
So like you talked
Right?
during the general episode thoughts, like Nomad says to Kirk, "This is one of your units, creator," and Kirk's like, "Yes, he is," and Nomad says, "It functions irrationally," and then Kirk's like, "Yeah, he does that." Like on Memory Alpha, under the memorable quotes part, it stops. It's just like, "This is one of your units, creator." Yes, he is. It functions irrationally, and that's like they don't have the next line.
Oh,
Why is that not in
the
there?
most important. That's the most important part. Oh, that's annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think in terms of moments, yeah, there are definitely a lot of just like funny moments with interacting with Nomad. And especially because it's like can't compute or it's like you're irrational. Just like all these little jabs it was making at them was fun.
Mm-hmm. I did like, I don't know, something about the way that they did the effects for and the modulation of the voice when it was starting to break down at the end. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed that, like the
Mhm.
warbles and the weirdness of it.
Yeah, that was good.
I think that about covers it. That will take us
Okay.
to That's What They Said.
Can we take it, Mr. Scott?
Let them take it at their own speed.
I guess they can take it faster than we can give it.
Hold your position.
Captain, you're not really going to bring that thing in here.
Spock, Bones, come with us.
This unit will see to your needs.
Get Scott down below.
It serves me as it is. pulsing tone. You got to do more than one.
Oh, it sounds like a vibrator.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That was literally one of the subtitles, and it just said low pulsing tone. I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta put this in there. I want him prepared for a full physical examination.
We just want to check you out.
You may proceed.
The unit Spock will touch you.
I will permit it.
Yay.
Yay. Indeed. Oh,
very good.
So good. So good.
Indeed. That will bring us to episode trivia from Memory Alpha. In conventions, Nichelle Nichols frequently tells a story of getting into a dispute with director Mark Daniels over the filming of this episode. As it had already been established that Uhura's first language was Swahili, Nichols believed that after her mind was erased, Uhura would revert to her first language. However, as Nichols herself did not speak Swahili, Daniels wanted Uhura to just speak English. Nichols refused, telling Daniels Nichelle Nichols doesn't speak Swahili, but Uhura does. Gene Roddenberry was eventually brought in to settle the dispute, and he sided with Nichols.
God.
A linguist specializing in Swahili was then brought in to write the few lines of Swahili that are spoken in the episode.
Good for her.
Indeed.
But also, like, if your memory's wiped, I don't think you would remember either. Like, you wouldn't remember how to speak. So I feel like it goes along with amnesia, where, like, you know basic stuff and you may, like, you know how to speak languages. So I guess that makes more sense then, since Swahili was her first language.
Yeah, it seems more like, that's why a lot of people speculate that it wasn't necessarily that her mind was erased, just that she lost access to her memories. Yeah. Spock mentions that Nomad's first attack on the Enterprise was the equivalent of 90 photon torpedoes. Surprisingly, this attack only reduced the shields by 20%. This seems even stranger a few moments later when Nomad absorbs the energy of a single photon torpedo, and Kirk wonders how anything could absorb so much energy and survive. We talked about that, but I put it in here because, yeah.
Makes no sense.
The episode marks one of, well, I'm not going to say one of how many times, but this episode marks the second time Kirk is able to talk a computer to death. The previous time we saw was Return of the Archons, and he also kind of does it to Corby in What Are Little Girls Made Of. He argues logic with the robot I almost said Corgi. With the robot Corby. So yeah, kind of almost 2.5 times that he's talked a computer to death.
Yeah.
So that's it. There's not much for this. It seems like we're getting into run-of-the-mill stuff. Like, there's not a ton of interesting behind the scenes things for this episode, just because it's a bog standard Star Trek episode. So that will bring us to spoilers without context.
Yay. You go first.
Yeah, since you went first for That's What They Said, we'll do my spoilers without context first. They'll be up on the screen. I had to do, speaking of Star Wars, I had to do the Naughty Village, like, because they're nomads and the probe is named Nomad because they're nomadic.
Got it. I was wondering why you did them. I'm like,
yeah.
Love.
And then a chart
what
of
is this
sterilization.
chart?
The sterilization of biomaterials. There's different ways. You can do steam autoclaving. You can do supercritical fluids, radiation, gas, plasma, hydrogen, something that got cut off, a chemical treatment with ethylene dioxide or ethylene oxide, or dry heat. Those are sterilization of biomaterials.
It's like cooking something.
Yeah. And then I did that from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. I got better because Scotty got better.
Yeah.
Scotty just got better.
I should have done Lazarus again. Oh well.
Yeah. And then Hooked on Phonics worked for Ahura.
Ah, it's such a good one. Fucking
She's
loved
sitting.
Hooked on Phonics.
I remember the commercials. I never
Yeah.
used it, but I remember the Hooked on Phonics worked for me.
Maybe I just
Worked
saw
for
the
Ahura,
commercials.
too.
Yeah, I don't know if I used it actually. Oh, I'm second guessing my life now.
So that's those. Now
Those are
we'll
great.
bring Ensign Kayla's spoilers without context up on the screen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I know it's not exactly the same thing. I mean, I don't know. I actually haven't seen the movie. So I don't know if it's the same memory wipe, but I don't think it's the same kind of thing.
Wait, have you not seen any of the Men in Black movies?
No.
Wow. Okay. Well, lucky you. You get to watch them for the first time.
Are they that good? I didn't
Yeah,
think they
they're
were that
good.
good.
I mean, at least the first. I've enjoyed all of them. I
Okay.
think they're all good. They're definitely worth watching.
Even the new one with Tessa Thompson.
I liked it, but I
Okay.
apparently have a low bar for, like, if I'm entertained by the movie, I think it's a good movie. I was entertained.
Are you not entertained? Okay. Anyways, yeah, I haven't seen any of them.
Yeah, you should
And
definitely
then-
at least watch the first one. It is a good
Okay.
film. I mean, it's a
I'll do
comedy.
it right
It's a
now.
sci-fi comedy. No, not right now.
Okay.
But yeah, you should definitely watch it.
I was a fan of Will Smith up until, he slapped Chris Rock. But anyways, and then I did a rocket ship because, yeah, Nomad pretty much just looked like a chunky rocket.
Is that a Playmobil? Is that a Playmobil
I think
rocket?
so. Because I was trying to find ones that looked more like it, because a lot of them are just so tall and skinny now.
So that astronaut, the face looks like a Playmobil face, and he or she has their visor up in outer space. So I think they're gonna die. Pretty sure they're out of oxygen, floating in outer space.
Well, they're made of plastic. I think they might be okay.
Maybe. Yeah.
Oh, I'm dead. And then I did Pinocchio because of how Kirk was calling Nomad his son. And, he's a robot and he wanted him to be a real boy. And then I did Strange New Worlds, Ahura singing, because we got Ahura singing this episode. And any chance I get to bring up the very hot Strange New Worlds cast, I will fucking do it.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
There you go. That's my means.
Okay. I love the Playmobil. The Playmobil rocket also has a. So it's interesting because it also has a power button on it. And like between the two rocket boosters on the bottom, the little icon there kind of looks like
there's another
the
power
Starfleet
button.
Delta. Yeah, and there's a second.
Oh, it does.
This seems like an advanced set. Like,
yeah, it does. And it seems like that door opens. Also, what's the name on the side? It looks like NASA, but it says something else. Universe. It's the NASA logo, but instead it says Universe.
Oh, and then there's a yellow logo down below the power button that just says rocket.
Yeah. Wow, this is great. I had no idea this picture would be so interesting.
That's fantastic.
Us and our toys.
Okay, well, that'll bring us to ranking the episode. Ensign Kayla, how do you rank The Changeling?
Yeah. Once again, didn't think about this ahead of time. Honestly, probably best that I don't, because I feel like sometimes our discussion changes it, or I realize things when we talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably gonna give it Lieutenant, just because it was okay, and it was interesting. It was new, having this this weird rocket thing being so powerful, and also like AI, like it had an interesting backstory to it for sure. But like the plot was very weak because it was just Kirk using logic against a computer again. So
Yeah, the
like
resolution was
definitely don't have to watch it, but it's intriguing to an extent.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely I would also go Lieutenant because I think it's worth watching, but not you don't have to go out of your way for it. Like
Yeah.
it's fine. It's a fine episode. Something I forgot to mention during the episode trivia. The Nomad prop was designed by Matt Jeffries and built by Jim Rugg and Irving Feinberg. The former moving and operating it via different methods. In fact, 3 Nomad props were built, each of them designed for a different purpose. I imagine that there's one. I'm guessing here, but the one where like the antennas could like extend and retract is probably one version because it needed the electronics in there for that. And then one that they used for probably the floating shots, and maybe one for when it was talking with the different flashing lights, just because in the 60s fitting all of those different electronics inside a prop might have been difficult, so you needed different versions.
Totes my goats.
But yeah, forgot to mention that, just wanted to get that in there. That is a unanimous rank of Lieutenant for the Changeling. Our next episode is Mirror Mirror. IMDb.com says a transporter accident places Captain Kirk's landing party in an alternate universe where the Enterprise is in the service of a barbarically brutal empire.
Barbarically brutal empire. And it is an empire. Not a good one. Spoiler alert. Why are they still use? I mean, I get it was like 20 years. Anyways, we'll talk about it
next time.
All right. Thanks everyone for joining us. If you're watching live on the premiere, it's been fun hanging out with y'all. If you're watching on the replay, thanks for watching, and we appreciate it. Make sure to smack that like, smack that subscribe, smack the bell icon. If you want to follow us on social media, our handle is GTFO channel. If you want to email us, our email is channelgtfo@gmail.com. Yeah, we better get out of here before. Oh no, Johnny is completely breaking down. Oh no. Okay. Anyways, see y'all next week. Peace and long life.
Live long and prosper.